So huge shout out to, you know what, wait, I'm going to wait for that one to be more confirmed. I'm going to wait for that one to get confirmed. Let me go ahead and have this one up here. So let's move on. Palestinian president calls on the UN to end the war in Gaza and recognize Palestine as a state as the Trump administration revoked his U.S. visa, preventing him from appearing in person. Now, real quick, we know that the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada has recognized Palestine as a state. Will that change anything? I think my friend Indy from INN News corrected the record.
And as world leaders debate the future of the Palestinian people, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas addressed the UN General Assembly today, calling on all countries to help stop the carnage in Gaza.
What Israel is carrying out is not merely an aggression. It is a war crime and a crime against humanity that is both documented and monitored, and it will be recorded in history books and the pages of international conscience as one of the most horrific chapters of humanitarian tragedy in the 20th and 21st centuries.
Abbas couldn't make his case in person after the Trump administration revoked his U.S. visa, along with those of around 80 other Palestinian officials last month, accusing them of undermining peace efforts. With me here is Elise Labott, Edward R. Murrow Press Fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations and author of Cosmopolitics newsletter on Substack. It's so good to have you here. I mean, the General Assembly voted almost unanimously to allow Abbas to deliver this address via video. And I wonder, as you look at the big picture, what you make of this push for a two-state solution, especially given the disconnect between the U.S. administration and allies.
Well, I think, Chris, it's really just a sign that the international community has fatigue, not with just the war itself and all, as you said, the carnage going on in Gaza, but just the fact that there's been no progress over so many decades for a two-state solution.
Now, we want to pause on that two-state solution because here's the thing. We've heard that it's never going to be acknowledged, but something did happen at the UN. Delegates stormed out as soon as Netanyahu was speaking.
Please, order in the hall. 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 Please, order in the hall.
So that was the majority of people leaving the UN Assembly before Netanyahu spoke. So I do have an article in relation to this. So let's go ahead and pull this up here because it look, and also there is another story too in relation to this. Let's go ahead and at least have this video play. Let me go ahead and have this video available so we can continue on with the rest of what's happening while I pull up the article.
State for the Palestinians. And I think, you know, it's a very powerful symbolic message. You know, when Macron in front of the whole General Assembly said, we recognize a Palestinian state, it's like a historic moment, but it doesn't really change anything on the ground, right? The Israelis are not giving them a state. You heard Benjamin Netanyahu say this week, I think for one of the first times, there will not be a Palestinian state.
Unequivocally.
Then the U.S. is certainly not supporting this. And then you have President Abbas, who, you know, he struck all the right notes, but he's, you know, his government is rife with corruption. He's about 90 years old. He's been, you know, he's like 20 years into a 4-year term. There haven't been elections since 2006. And so there's talk about who's going to govern Gaza, who's going to govern the Palestinians. And so he says, we're going to do it. But, you know, the architecture really isn't in place for a two-state solution. So I've always said that the international community, yes, should move towards a Palestinian state, that Israel.
Well, it's made it very clear, though, because I want to pull up here. Right now, Netanyahu has been calling the Palestinian recognition disgraceful, as dozens walked out of the UN speech. So him speaking before the UN did not gain him any favors, nor was he able to gain any ground. This ridiculous war that's happening in Gaza, this ridiculous madness that we see happening in the Gaza Strip, especially in regards towards men, women, and children starving, where people are dying in mass. The main truth is this has to be stopped. This war needs to be stopped. I mean, how many times are we going to be doom scrolling to see all these young people starve, men and women dying, buildings being blown up, Gaza being turned into a moonscape? The international community is getting to a point to where you can't really ignore this. Now, again, everyone should have been speaking out a year, 2 years ago. Controversial statement here. I mean, they should have, but they didn't. But if everyone's going to be consistent here, now's the time to call for a halt, a stop. There are so many dead and unaccounted for. There's no way we can justify the pain and damage that has already took place. But if we don't call for an immediate ceasefire, if we don't call for immediate humanitarian aid to go into Gaza, will we get to the point to where there's only a handful of people in Gaza left? I mean, is that the overall plan? Is that what we're going to witness on our smartphones? We're going to get a TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook live stream, YouTube live stream of the last people in Gaza alive? Is that what it's going to be reduced down to before any action happens? I dread to think of a point where I'm a senior citizen, and I don't know if there's a potential grandchild of Kit Cabello. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? I dread to have the conversation of, why did you guys stop this? If you knew this was bad, why didn't you stop it? Speak out now, folks. This has got to stop. It's just going to be more than just delegates leaving the assembly chamber. Political action and courage is needed.